The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the cracked driveway into a river of regret. "You're no son of mine," Dad spat, his voice cracking like thunder over the roar of the storm. The front door slamming shut behind me with a finality that echoed louder than any scream. I stood there, 17 and soaked to the bone, my backpack the only anchor in a world that had just unmoored me, wondering if love could ever claw its way back from the abyss we'd both tumbled into. I was Evan Hargrove, the kid who'd spent his whole life chasing the ghost of approval in a house that smelled like motor oil and unspoken rules. Dad, Jack Hargrove, the kind of man who fixed transmissions for a living and fixed nothing at home, had always been a wall of quiet strength, the type who taught me to throw a baseball before I could read, who grilled burgers on the 4th of July like it was a sacrament. Mom died when I was 8, cancer stealing her away in a blur of hospital beeps and Jell-O cups, leaving us to navigate manhood like two ships too stubborn to signal. We didn't talk feelings, we talked touchdowns and tire pressure. But lately, the air between us had thickened, charged with secrets I couldn't swallow anymore. Started small. The way my eyes lingered too long on the quarterback in gym class. The flutter in my chest when Connor Riley, God, even his name felt like a spark, brushed past me in the hallway at Lincoln High. Connor was everything I wasn't, effortlessly cool, with that mop of chestnut hair that fell just right and green eyes that saw through bullshit like it was glass. He was the guy who could ace a pop quiz while cracking jokes, the one whose laugh made the whole cafeteria tilt. We'd been orbiting each other since freshman year, trading glances across lockers. But it wasn't until prom season whispers turned to locker room rumors that I knew I had to come clean. Not to the world, not yet, but to Dad. Because if I couldn't be real with the one person who'd raised me, who could I be real with? That night, after the game against Rivorton, I waited until the beer cans were stacked like accusations on the coffee table. The TV droned some ESPN highlight reel. Dad slouched in his recliner, nursing a bud that had gone warm. My heart jackhammered as I sat on the arm of the couch, words sticking like tar in my throat. "Dad," I said, voice barely above the announcer's play-by-play. "There's something I gotta tell you. I'm gay." The room went still, the kind of still that sucks the oxygen out. Dad's can paused midway to his lips, his knuckles whitening around the aluminum. For a beat, I thought maybe he'd nod, maybe grunt something about it not changing a damn thing. But then his face twisted, veins bulging in his neck like roots pushing through concrete. "What the hell did you just say?" he growled, rising slow, like a bear rousing from hibernation. I repeated it, softer this time, but the damage was done. He exploded, not with fists, but words sharper than any blade. "This ain't how I raised you. Evan, you think this sickness is gonna fly in my house? After everything? Your ma would roll in her grave." He paced, ranting about sin and shame, about neighbors who'd whisper, about the garage buddies who'd never look at him the same. I tried to explain about the ache that wasn't a choice, about how it felt like drowning until I named it, but he wasn't hearing. He was protecting something fragile, a version of family he'd built brick by brick after Mom. By the time the rain started, he was at the door, yanking it open to the storm. "Get out," he said, voice breaking on the edge of a sob he wouldn't let free. "Pack your shit and get the fuck out. I won't have this under my roof." I begged Jesus. I begged. But he turned away, shoulders heaving, the man who'd once carried me on piggybacks now barring me like a stranger. So I grabbed my backpack, stuffed it with clothes and the photo of us at the lake from last summer, and stepped into the downpour. The door clicked shut, and the world narrowed to the slap of rain and the hollow pit in my gut. Miles blurred under streetlights as I trudged toward downtown Elmwood, Ohio, quaint Main Street bullshit hiding the rot beneath. Elmwood was the kind of town where everyone knew your daddy's sins but smiled through Sunday potlucks. No way was I crashing at a friend's. The gossip would spread like wildfire. The shelter on the edge of town, Mary's Haven, glowed like a reluctant beacon. I'd heard about it in health class teen runaways, mostly, but stepping inside felt like admitting defeat. The lobby smelled of bleach and instant coffee, a tired woman at the desk eyeing my soaked hoodie. "Name?" she asked, clipboard in hand. "Evan Hargrove." My voice cracked, and she softened, handing me a towel and a key to a bunk room. That first night, I lay on the thin mattress, staring at water stains on the ceiling, replaying Dad's face, the disgust, the fear. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of Mom's voice, soft and forgiving. "It's okay to be you, baby." Morning brought fluorescent hell and a breakfast of oatmeal that tasted like cardboard. That's when I saw him, Connor Riley, of all people, hunched over a tray 2 tables away. He looked smaller without the school armor, shadows under his eyes, a bruise blooming on his jaw like a bad tattoo. What the hell was the golden boy doing in a place like this? Our eyes met, and for a second, the room tilted. He froze, spoon midway to his mouth, then broke into that grin, the one that could disarm a bomb. "Evan? No shit. What are you doing slumming it here?" He slid over, tray clattering, like we'd bumped into each other at the mall, not a homeless shelter. I shrugged, heat rising in my cheeks. "Family drama." "You?" His grin faltered, eyes flicking to the bruise. "Same shit, different flavor. Dad's got a temper when things don't go his way." He didn't elaborate, but the weight hung there, unspoken. Connor's home life was legend, big house on Oak Ridge, folks who threw block parties, but rumors swirled about his old man, a cop with a badge and a belt that spoke louder than words. We talked, halting at first, then like a dam breaking. Turns out he'd bolted 2 nights ago after a fight that left him with that shiner and 0 fucks left to give. "Figured I'd crash here till I sort shit out," he said, stealing a grape from my tray. "College apps are due soon anyway. Maybe I'll hitch to Columbus. Start fresh." The idea sparked something in me, freedom, possibility. By afternoon, we'd pooled our allowances for bus tickets, dreaming big over vending machine chips. Connor's hand brushed mine as we laughed about Mr. Hargrove's infamous meatloaf, and electricity zipped up my arm. Was this what it felt like? Not the terror of confession, but the quiet thrill of being seen. That night, bunked side by side in the dim room, whispers turned to confessions. "I've always known, you know," Connor murmured, voice low to not wake the others. "About me. About liking guys." "You too." "Yeah." I breathed, heart pounding. But telling Dad? Worst mistake. Not a mistake. Truth's never that. His fingers found mine under the scratchy blanket. Tentative, then sure. We didn't kiss. Not yet. But that touch was a promise, warm against the cold certainty that home was a locked door. Days blurred into a rhythm. Job hunts at the diner. Late-night walks along the river where the Ohio hummed like it understood. Connor got hired flipping burgers at Mickey's, his charm turning tips into gold. I landed shifts stocking shelves at the Piggly Wiggly, the monotony a balm to the ache. Evenings were ours, sitting on the shelter's sagging porch, sharing earbuds and dreams. He wanted art school in Chicago, sketching portraits that captured souls. I confessed my love for books, the way words could rebuild worlds. "You're a poet, Evan," he'd say, nudging my shoulder, and I'd melt. The first kiss happened under a harvest moon, down by the tracks where freight cars whispered secrets. We'd snuck out after curfew, adrenaline buzzing. "What if we just—" Connor started, then closed the gap, his lips soft and urgent against mine. It was clumsy, all teeth and nerves, but perfect, like coming home after exile. We broke apart laughing, foreheads pressed, the world vast and kind for once. But Elmwood wasn't built for miracles. Whispers followed us, the two boys from the shelter, thick as thieves. Dad's garage buddies spotted us at the diner, their stares like spotlights. One night, after closing shift, Connor pulled me into the alley behind Mickey's, his kiss fierce, hands roaming. "I could do this forever," he murmured against my neck, and I believed him, believed in us, in the fragile empire we'd started building from scraps. Little did I know, the cracks were already forming. Connor's phone buzzed more than usual, texts he angled away from view. "Just Mom," he'd say, but his jaw tightened. "And Dad?" Radio silence. Until the letter came. It arrived on a Tuesday, slipped under the shelter door like contraband, a plain envelope, my name scrawled in Dad's blocky print. My hands shook as I tore it open in the bunk room, Connor watching with that steady gaze. Inside, a check for $200 and a note that read like a eulogy. "This is all I can do. Don't come back. Make something of yourself, but not here. Dad." No apology, no olive branch, just severance, cold as the Midwest wind. I crumpled it, throat burning, but Connor smoothed it out. I soft. "Hey, it's something. Means he's thinking about you." He pulled me close, his arms a fortress, and for a while, it was enough. We cashed the check that afternoon, blowing half on a second-hand guitar for him and a stack of paperbacks for me. To new beginnings. He toasted with root beer floats at the drugstore counter, clinking plastic cups like champagne flutes. Life edged toward normalcy, if you squinted. We saved for an apartment, a shoebox above the laundromat on Elm Street, visions of shared mornings and lazy Sundays dancing in our heads. Connor's sketches filled my notebooks, portraits of us tangled in sheets we hadn't bought yet, dreams rendered in charcoal smudges. Sex came later, tentative explorations in stolen hours, bodies learning the language of want. It was reverent, almost holy, erasing the shame Dad's words had etched. "You're beautiful," Connor whispered that first time, tracing my ribs like braille, and I believed him because in his eyes, I was whole. But shadows lingered. Connor's bruises faded, but new ones bloomed, emotional this time, silences that stretched like rubber bands. He'd vanish for hours, claiming errands, returning with hollow eyes and excuses that didn't land. "What's going on?" I pressed one night, the laundromat's hum our only witness as we folded his work shirts. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's nothing. Just Dad's been calling. Wants me home. Says he'll pay for art supplies if I toe the line." His voice cracked on toe, and I saw it then, the pull of blood, the gravity of forgiveness. Connor's old man wasn't just a cop. He was the law in their house, doling out love in measured doses. "Don't go back," I said, fierce. "Not for that." He nodded, but doubt flickered. Meanwhile, my own ghost stirred. I'd spot Dad's truck idling at stoplights, his profile etched in dashboard glow, but he'd accelerate away when our eyes met. Once, at the grocery, he lingered in the cereal aisle, hand hovering over my favorite Frosted Flakes, then walked out empty-handed. It gutted me. These near misses, proof he cared but couldn't bridge the chasm. Fall deepened, leaves carpeting Elmwood in crimson regret. We scraped together first and last month's rent, signing the lease with shaky pens. The apartment was a palace. Peeling wallpaper, a kitchenette that doubled as a closet. But ours. That first night, we christened it with pizza and promises, bodies entwined on a mattress borrowed from the shelter. "This is it," Connor murmured, his breath warm on my collarbone. "You and me against the world." I wanted to believe it. God, I did. But betrayal has a way of creeping in, quiet as frost. It started with a text I glimpsed over his shoulder. "Come home, son. We can fix this. Love, Dad." Connor deleted it quick, but the seed was planted. Then the lies, "Overtime at Mickey's," he'd say, stumbling in at dawn smelling of whiskey and regret. I'd wait up, novels forgotten, worry gnawing like termites. One crisp November evening, I came home early from a double shift, arms full of thrift store finds, a lamp, some curtains to make it feel like home. The door was ajar, murmurs spilling out like smoke. I froze, heart plummeting. Inside, Connor sat on our bed, phone to his ear, voice low and pleading. "I can't, Dad. Evans. He's everything. But if you just met him." A pause. Then his father's bark. Tinny through the speaker. "That fag's poisoned you. Boy. Come home before you throw your life away." Connor's reply shattered me. "It's not like that. I just need time. Maybe we can keep it quiet. For now. Quiet. For now." The words landed like punches, each one stealing breath. I backed out, groceries tumbling to the hall floor, fleeing down the stairs before sobs betrayed me. Betrayal, not just the lie, but the fracture it revealed. Connor wasn't all in. He was hedging, bartering my heart for his father's scraps. I ended up at the river, skipping stones into the black water, each plunk a prayer for numbness. He found me at midnight, coat flapping like wings, eyes wild. "Evan, what happened? Why'd you run?" I faced him, rain starting again, mixing with tears I didn't bother hiding. "I heard you. On the phone. Keep it quiet, like I'm some dirty secret you can shelve till it's convenient." His face crumpled, hands reaching, but I stepped back. "It's not God, Evan. It's complicated. Dad's offering tuition, a fresh start. But I love you. That doesn't change." "Love," I laughed, bitter. "Love doesn't hide. It doesn't bargain." The fight spilled out, accusations flying like shrapnel, his defenses crumbling under the weight of truth. He admitted it, the calls, the temptations, the fear of losing everything for us. "I'm scared," he whispered finally, sinking to his knees in the mud. "Of being alone. Of disappointing him. Of this not working." I knelt too, cupping his face, thumbs brushing tears. Then choose, Connor. Us or the cage. We clung there, storm raging, the line drawn in wet earth. He chose us, or so he swore, pulling me up, kissing me fierce under the deluge. Forgiveness tasted like salt and hope, fragile as a truce. But truces break. Weeks later, as snow dusted Elmwood's rooftops, the real storm hit. I got a call from the hospital. Dad, in a wreck. Slippery roads after a shift. Truck wrapped around a pole on Route 42. Critical, the nurse said, voice clipped. He's asking for you. My world tilted. Connor drove me, hand gripping mine white-knuckled, the ER a blur of beeps and bleach. Dad lay there, tubes snaking like accusations, face pale as the sheets. His eyes fluttered open, finding mine, and for a heartbeat, we were just Jack and Evan, father and son. No walls. Kid, he rasped, hand twitching toward me. I fucked up. Tears blurred him. Yeah. You did. But anger had softened in the crucible of fear, leaving space for something raw. Connor hovered in the doorway, a silent sentinel, and Dad's gaze flicked to him, curious, then softening. That your friend? I nodded, throat tight. Boyfriend. Connor. Silence stretched. Then Dad's fingers squeezed mine, weak but sure. Treat him right. And you. Come home. Please. It wasn't absolution. Not yet. But it was a crack in the door, light spilling through. As we left, Connor's arm around me, I felt the weight lift, just a little. Little did I know, the breaking was just beginning. Reconciliation isn't a straight line. It's a goddamn obstacle course, riddled with potholes and detours. Dad pulled through surgery like a stubborn mule, ribs cracked and spleen nicked, but alive. The hospital became our uneasy neutral ground. Me visiting after shifts, Connor tagging along with contraband comics and that easy charm that thawed even the frostiest nurses. Dad grunted approvals at first, eyes darting away when our hands linked, but curiosity won out. So, Riley's kid. Huh? He'd say, voice gravelly from pain meds. Heard you sketch. Draw me something decent for once. Connor did, pencil strokes capturing Dad mid-grin, the one from fishing trips long past. It hung by his bedside, a bridge of lead and paper. Me, I brought stories, reading aloud from Mom's old dog-eared copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, Scout's fire mirroring my own buried rage. Dad listened, eyes distant, until one night he interrupted. Your ma loved that book. Said it was about seeing folks clear, past the bullshit. Yeah, I replied, closing the pages. Maybe we could try that. He nodded, slow, the closest to sorry we'd grazed. Discharge came with strings, physical therapy, light duty at the garage. And home for both of us, if we wanted. Connor and I talked it over in the apartment, snow tapping the window like impatient fingers. Your call, he said, tracing patterns on my thigh. But I'm in, wherever. I chose tentative return, not full surrender, but a foothold. The house felt alien at first, Dad's recliner a throne of awkward silences. Meals were chess matches, fork pricks echoing, small talk about weather and Wolverines games. Connor visited under pretense of helping with chores. His presence a buffer. Dad watched us, wary, But cracks formed. A shared laugh over burnt toast. A nod when Connor fixed the leaky faucet without asking. Betrayal's echo lingered, though, in Connor's flinches at his phone, in the way he'd step outside for calls. I confronted him again. Post-Thanksgiving, turkey carcass picked clean and tension simmering. Still talking to your dad? The living room smelled of sage and suspicion. He sighed, slumping on the couch. Yeah. He's trying. Sent money for supplies. But he wants me back full-time. Says the phase will pass. Phase. The word ignited old fires. Is that what we are? A goddamn experiment. No, Evan. It's pressure. He's all I got besides you. His eyes pleaded, but doubt rooted deep. That night, love making turned desperate, bodies colliding like apologies unspoken. Afterward, tangled and spent, he whispered, I choose you. Every time, lies have momentum, though. Christmas loomed, Elmwood strung in lights that mocked our fragile peace. Dad surprised me with a tree scrawny, lot bought, but trimmed with Mom's ornaments. Figured we needed one, he muttered, handing me the star. We decorated in fits and starts, stories tumbling out. The year Mom hung tinsel upside down, laughing till she cried. For a moment, we were us again, the gay son and the grieving widower, mending nets torn by time. Connor joined for Eve. His gift a framed sketch of the three of us, improbable family, rendered warm. Dad stared, then clapped his shoulder. Not bad, kid. Felt like victory. Eggnog flowing, carols crackling on the radio. But mid-toast, Connor's phone buzzed. His father, insistent. He excused himself to the porch, voice rising in the cold. I can't just ditch them. Dad, Evan's my. I followed, door creaking, catching the tail. World. But if you can't accept that, maybe I need space. He hung up, spotting me, face ashen. Eavesdropping now? Hurts less than wondering. We argued under icicle eaves, words frosting the air. He swore it was final, no more talks, no compromises. But I saw the fracture. Love divided, pulling him taut. New Year's brought the call that shattered the illusion. Connor's dad, Chief Riley, showed at the station house, badge gleaming like judgment. Time to come home, son, he boomed, voice carrying through the thin walls where Dad and I tinkered on the truck. Connor arrived, summoned, and the confrontation spilled into the yard, voices clashing like cymbals. You're throwing away your future for that boy? Chief bellowed, face red as the taillights. I raised you better. You raised a liar. Connor shot back, fists clenched. Evan's more family than you've ever been. I watched from the garage. Dad beside me, his intake sharp. The chief's eyes found me then, venomous. This you're doing, Hargrove? Turning my boy. Dad stepped forward, oil-streaked rag in hand. Leave my home, Riley. And my son be damned well alone. It was the first defense, raw and unfiltered, hanging in the steam of breath clouds. Chief Riley sneered, but retreated, tires spinning gravel as he peeled out. Connor collapsed against me, shaking. It's over. For real. We believed it, clinging to the high. But betrayal festers. Days later, I found the letter in Connor's jacket, and signed, typed, one last chance. Full ride to Pratt if you enroll solo. No strings but the truth. Temptation in Times New Roman. Promising escape from Elmwood's chokehold. He caught me reading, eyes wide. Evan, is this what choosing me looks like? Pain lanced. Fresh. We tore into each other. Accusations flying. My clinginess, his cowardice. You think I want this? He yelled. To hurt you? But art school. It's my dream. And I'm what? Collateral. The fight ended in silence. Him storming out. Me crumpling to the kitchen floor. Dad found me there. Dawn breaking. Offered a beer without a word. We sat at the table. Ken sweating. The unspoken heavy. He'll come around, Dad said finally. Voice gruff. Or he won't. But you. You're stronger than this. It was the closest to pride I'd heard. Balm to the bruise. Connor returned that night. Contrite. The letter ashes in the sink. No more secrets, he vowed. And we sealed it with salt-slick kisses. Bodies mapping forgiveness. Spring thawed the ground. But not the undercurrents. Dad's therapy progressed. He even joined a support group for widowers, coming home with stories of other broken men. Turns out, we're all just trying, he'd say, clapping my back. Connor's acceptance letter arrived, to community college here. Compromise. We celebrated with rooftop picnics. City lights winking approval. Yet the climax brewed, unseen. One humid June evening, Dad called me to the garage, tools laid out like offerings. Got something for you. He handed over Mom's old ring, simple gold band, engraved forever yours. Was gonna give it to her on our anniversary. Now, for you and the boy. If it fits. Tears pricked. It was acceptance. Tangible. I hugged him fierce. The man who'd once cast me out now binding me closer. Thanks, Dad. Means everything. That night, Connor and I walked the tracks. Ring heavy in my pocket. I planned to propose not marriage, not yet, but commitment, a vow against the world's pull. Stars wheeled overhead, fireflies dancing like confetti. Connor, I started, kneeling on the rails. Headlights pierced the dark. A truck roaring closer. Dad's? No. Chief Riley's cruiser. Siren silent but lights flashing doom. Connor paled, stepping back. What the? The door flew open. Chief emerging like wrath incarnate. Gun drawn, not lethal, but taser glinting threat. Get in the car, Connor. Now. Panic surged. You can't. I lunged. But Dad's truck crested the hill then, headlights bathing the scene in revelation. He skidded to halt, billing out, eyes widening at the standoff. Put it down. Riley, Dad barked, voice steady as steel. The chief whirled, taser lowering fractionally. Stay out of this, Jack. This is family. Bullshit, Dad snarled, positioning between us. You touch my boy or his, I'll bury you in paperwork till your badge rusts. The air crackled, seconds stretching eternal. Connor's hand found mine, squeezing choice made, visible. Chief's face twisted, defeat dawning. You're both fools, he spat, holstering, retreating to his cruiser. Engine growled to life, taillights fading into night. We stood there, trembling, Dad's arm around my shoulders, Connor's head on mine. The ring stayed in my pocket, but its promise echoed. Betrayal broken, not by force, but by the quiet strength of standing ground. Summer scorched Elmwood, humidity clinging like regret, but our world cooled into something resembling peace. Chief Riley's bluff called. He slunk back to his beat, radio silence from his end a grudging surrender. Connor burned the last bridge with a final call, "I'm done begging for scraps," and we dove into the aftermath, hands intertwined. Dad's garage became neutral territory. He and Connor bonded over carburetors and cold ones, gruff jokes masking the mending. "Kids got hands," Dad admitted one night, wiping grease from his brow. "Like his old man, minus the asshole part." I laughed, the sound foreign but welcome, as we barbecued in the backyard, burgers sizzling. Mom's recipe revived. Connor sketched Dad from the picnic table, capturing the squint of concentration, and when he gifted it framed, Dad pinned it above the workbench. "Family wall," he grunted, and damn if it didn't feel true. But healing's a marathon, not a sprint. Nightmares plagued me, doors slamming, tasers crackling, waking in sweats. Connor's arms my anchor. "We're okay," he'd murmur, lips to my temple, but I saw his own shadows, sketches darker now, figures fractured and alone. Therapy beckoned. The shelter counselor hooked us up, sliding scale sessions in a strip mall office. We went together first, spilling guts to Dr. Lena, a no-nonsense black woman with eyes like spotlights. "Betrayal's a thief," she said, notebook balanced on knee. "Steals trust, but you can rebuild, brick by honest brick." Homework, date nights, no phones, letters to our fathers, burned or sent. I wrote mine in the park, pages of hurt and hope, ending with "I forgive you because I choose us." Dad read his over coffee, eyes misting. "Proud of you, son." He didn't say it back, but the hug lingered. Connor's letter to Chief went up in flames by the river, embers dancing like fireflies of release. "Feels good," he said, ash-smeared grin wide. We celebrated with ice cream, cones dripping as we wandered Main Street, hands swinging free. Elmwood noticed. Stares softened to shrugs, the town's pulse adjusting. Even at the diner, where we'd first hustled tips, the waitress comped our pie. "You boys look happy." "'Bout time." Romance bloomed anew, unscarred. Picnics turned to stargazing on the roof. His head in my lap as I read poetry, Whitman, all-body electric and barbaric yops. Sex evolved too, from desperate to devotional. Lazy mornings tracing freckles, evenings urgent against the shower wall. "I love you" became mantra, etched in every touch. He inked a tattoo on my wrist, a tiny compass rose. "So you always find north," pointing to him. Dad watched it all, a sentinel softening. One August afternoon, post-therapy glow, he cornered me in the kitchen. "That boy. He good for you." "The best," I said, no hesitation. Dad nodded, pouring coffee. "Then hold on. Life's too short for half measures." It was his way, advice wrapped in grit, but it landed like gospel. That night, I pulled out Mom's ring again, this time under the oak in the yard. Fireflies are witnesses. "Connor Riley," I said, kneeling, "you're my home, my horizon. Be my forever." Tears tracked his cheeks, grin splitting wide. "Hell yes." We kissed to cricket chorus, ring slipping on perfect, gold catching moonlight. Dad watched from the porch, beer raised in silent toast. The man who'd broken me now bearing witness to my mending. Fall whispered change. College for Connor at the local branch. Graphic design track. Me enrolling part-time. Literature seminars fueling my scribbles. We juggled shifts and studies. Apartment dreams on hold but simmering. Dad even fixed up the attic. Guest space. He called it, but the queen bed and mini fridge screamed permanence. No rush, he said when we moved in bits. But you're welcome long as you want. Idyllic, close, but conflict simmers eternal. Chief Riley's shadow loomed. A traffic stop here. A pointed stare there. But he kept distance. Pride his prison. Connor tensed at cruisers. Old fears flaring. But therapy tempered it, breathing exercises. Boundary talks. He's the ghost, dear. Lena affirmed. But you're the light now. The real fracture came unexpectedly. A letter from Pratt Institute, full scholarship. Deferred acceptance. Chief's doing. It arrived on a Tuesday. Tucked in junk mail. Words like sirens, your talent deserves New York. Connor stared at it over breakfast. Cereal sogging untouched. Throw it out, I said. Gut-twisting premonition. He shook his head. Slow. It's everything I dreamed. But without you, the argument brewed all week. Whispers escalating to shouts. This is my shot, Evan, to make something real. Not this small-town stall. And us? We stall too. Pain sharpened my voice. You said forever. I meant it, but dreams don't wait. His eyes pleaded, but resolve hardened mine. Dad weighed in neutral. Over dinner. Follow your heart, kid. Whichever way it pulls. Pulled him east. Decision crystallized over bonfire. Flames devouring the letter's twin, but not the temptation. I'll defer, Connor lied, even then hedging. Betrayal redux, subtle as a sigh. He left in October, greyhound swallowing him whole, promises of visits and calls fraying like rope. Elmwood grayed without him. Dad's attentiveness choked. Daily check-ins. You okay, son? Grating like concern overkill. I buried in books. Poems pouring hurt onto pages. You left a hollow in the hollow town. Compass spinning south. Therapy solo now. Dr. Lena probing. Grief's a teacher. What's it saying? Forgive the lever, I admitted. But mourn the left. Thanksgiving gutted. Empty chair at table. Dad's turkey valiant but hollow. He tried. He'll be back. Boys like that. They wander, then wise up. But Connor's calls dwindled. New York tales glittering, lofts, profs. A study buddy, named Alex slipping into convos. Jealousy gnawed, but worse, indifference creeping. Climax crashed mid-December. Snow blanketing sins. A package arrived. Connor's sketchbook. Pages of us dog-eared. A note. Miss you. Home for Christmas? Hope flickered. But Dad's face soured when I shared. Careful, Evan. Don't let him yank your chain. Christmas Eve. Bus station vigil. Heart hammering. He stepped off. Bundled and beaming. Pulling me into a kiss that tasted of Subway and second chances. I fucked up. He confessed over cocoa at home. Dad hovering approving. New York's big, but empty. You're my north. We tumbled back to the attic. Bodies reuniting like lost continents. But dawn brought truth. The scholarship accepted. Bags half-packed in his dorm. Just one semester, he begged. Then home. Lies again. The fight exploded, Dad intervening. Voice thunder. Get out if you can't commit. Riley. My boy's worth more than maybes. Connor left. Tears freezing on cheeks. The doors slam, echoing the first betrayal. Alone. I shattered, sobs racking till Dad held me. First time since childhood. It hurts like hell, he murmured. But you'll rise. Like I did after your ma. In that breaking, bonds reformed, father-son, forged in fire's wake. Connor's final text. Sorry. Be happy. I deleted, blocking the hollow. Winter relented to a tentative spring. Elmwood blooming hesitant. Crocuses pushing through frost-kissed soil, mirroring my own thaw. Connor's ghost lingered in sketches I'd saved, in the empty side of the bed. But time's a surgeon, excising ache with relentless precision. Dad and I leaned into each other, routines solidifying, morning runs along the river, where we talk, not just weather, but wounds. I was scared, he confessed one dawn, breath clouding, of losing you like her. Thought kicking you out would fix it. Stupid as sin. Fear's a liar, I replied, bumping his shoulder. But you fixed it anyway. Therapy evolved to family sessions. Dr. Lena mediating the minefield. Dad spilled. The garage whispers post coming out. The wreck not accident but a swerve from suicidal skid. Couldn't face the man I'd become. Vulnerability from Jack Hargrove, worlds colliding. I shared the ring's weight. The proposals aborted. And he nodded. Love's not a chain. It's wings. College bloomed for me too. Full ride to OSU. Literature major. Dorm life a fresh canvas. But home pulled. I commuted. Attic now mine alone. Connor's scent faded to memory. Dad dated a widow from the group. Mary. With laughter like moms and no patience for bullshit. She's good. I told him over steak. Don't screw it up. He grinned. Rare. Pot. Kettle. Summer brought reinvention. I published poems in the local rag. Raw verses of exile and embrace. Titled Compass North. Readers trickled in. Kids from the shelter. Eyes wide with recognition. You're brave, a girl whispered. And I saw Evan the exile in her. Handing her my card. Call if you need. Doors opened both ways. Chief Riley crossed paths once. At the diner, awkward nod over coffee. His sorry about the boy gruff but genuine. No forgiveness demanded. Just acknowledgement. The town's slow reconciliation. Connor, post-block. A letter arrived spring break. New York swallowed me, but you're the indigestion. If there's space. I burned at Riverside, ashes to current, choosing closure over chaos. Climax revisited, not in rage but revelation. Dad's birthday, July heatwave, we threw a bash, garage strung in lights, Mary's potato salad raining. Neighbors mingled, even shelter folks, the air thick with grill smoke and grace. Midway, a figure at the gate. Connor, leaner, city sharpened, duffel at feet. Time froze. Dad spotted first, jaw tightening, but Mary's hand steadied him. I approached, pulse thunderous. What are you? Quit Pratt. Came home, his eyes searched mine. Vulnerable. Missed my north. If you'll have me. Betrayal's scar throbbed, but beneath love's stubborn root. Why now? Hit bottom. Alex was a rebound, a mask. But you're real. He pulled a sketch, Us, older, gray at temples, hands linked eternal. Second chances? Dad cleared throat behind me. That the case? Riley? Connor nodded, swallowing. Then prove it. No half-ass. We did slow, deliberate. Dates at the diner. No loft illusions. Therapy tandem again. Boundaries ironclad. Sex rekindled gentle. Rediscovery over rush. Dad watched wary, but warmed. Joint fishing trips. Connor's casts improving under tutelage. Fall found us enrolled together. OSU for him too. Transfer seamless. Apartment hunt yielded a walk-up near campus. Lease signed with intertwined fingers. The ring, redeployed. On his chain now, against heart. Forever's a promise, I said, and he echoed. But the true break, the one the title foretold, came unbidden. Dad's checkup revealed shadows. Early Parkinson's. Tremor in hands that once steadied worlds. He broke it gentle. Over breakfast. Voice steady. Won't define me. But scares the hell out of it. Connor and I rallied research, specialists, Mary's network. Nights blurred to caretaking, meds timed, drives to appointments. Dad resisted at first. I'm no invalid. But softened, pride yielding to partnership. You too. You're my anchors. He admitted one evening, porch swing creaking, stars pricking sky. What broke him? Not the disease, but the mirror it held. His kick-out echoing in vulnerability. The fear he'd inflicted now his own. One rain-lashed night, tremor raging. He wept, raw, unfiltered. I pushed you away to protect us. But look what I almost lost. I held him, Connor's hand on his knee. You didn't. We're here. Humanism's quiet triumph. Not erasure of scars, but weaving them into tapestry. Dad walked Mary down an aisle we planned. Simple courthouse. Us witnesses, vows exchanged under autumn leaves. Connor and I followed suit. Not legal yet, but rings swapped in the attic. Mom's band joined by his grandmother's. Promises whispered to thunder. Years folded. Dad's decline graceful. Mary his rock. Us his legacy. Connor's illustrations graced galleries. Mine bookshelves northbound. A novel of boys and broken homes. Dedicated to Jack, who taught forgiveness starts at home. Elmwood evolved 2 pride flags on Main. Shelter expanded. My readings drawing crowds. The most dramatic scene? That midnight driveway. Years on Dad. Cane tapped. Under the same flickering lamp where he'd cast me out. Rain sheeting. Me and Connor arriving post-reading. Soaked and laughing. He waited. Face lined but luminous. Heard the book. Broke me good. Kid. I hugged him fierce. Meant to. He pulled back. Eyes on Connor. You too, son. Keep him straight. Always, Connor grinned. Arm around me. No words then, just standing. Rain washing clean. Family forged in flood. What Evan did next. Built bridges from ruins. Love the mortar. And Jack? He broke. Not shattered, but open. Heart cracked to let light in. In America's heartland, where rust belts bind wounds, we chose each other. Again. Always. Epilogue whispers. Dad's last fishing trip. Line cast steady despite shakes. Us 3 on the bank. Laughter echoing. Sun dipping gold. Worth it, he murmured. Reel clicking. All of it.